This was a challenging year for oats. If you were here in Iowa in July, it rained frequently and in unusual amounts, and we were really concerned we were going to lose a lot of it. And when we first started out, we were getting pretty good yields. We were really excited. Probably the best oat crop that we were able to grow in a few years now. But then as the rains came, we lost a percentage of that crop. But we still ended up with about 90 bushels to the acre. We usually shoot for about 100, and we've had 125 at times. And then we got our results back, and we still have a food grade oat. They survived somehow. The windrow did its job. What a windrow does is you cut the oat, about 4 to 6 inches of stubble height is left on the ground. The swath lays on that standing stubble, and it's off the ground enough that the wind can kind of go through there and dry the crop. It doesn't sweat in the bin. A lot of times people ask me, you gotta put that in the bin and let it sweat. It does that out in the field, and it's pretty much ready to go out of the field once you put it in the bin. It's ready for market, and we harvest typically in July, but this year we ended up harvesting first week in August. After the small grain, the advantage is we can grow any number of cover crops. This year we've used a cover crop blend with, let's see, it's a 60% annual rye, a 25% crimson clover, 10% radish, and a 5% rapeseed. That cover crop's going to be in the small gaps you see. So I took that cover crop and I planted another 60 acres on a different field, but I threw some of it in here where we ran out of buckwheat. And for this field, obviously we have buckwheat. It's an attempt to double crop after oats. I'm not sure how it's going to work. I've never grown buckwheat before. This is the first year. But we put this in about August 4th, this buckwheat. The 4 species cover crop we weren't able to put in until later in August, about the 3rd week in August. So you can see some of the radishes, the rapeseed, the crimson clover, and the annual rye coming up, but it's still pretty small. We like to grow the cover crops usually to set up for a corn crop in the following year. So a nitrogen fixing buckwheat fixes phosphorus for us, but it also suppresses weeds. And we had a really clean, this is about the 4th year we've had a very clean weed-free field, starting 2 years ago with my best corn crop ever in 2022. We had 210 bushels an acre on 80 acres, field average. And then we followed that with a fairly weed-free soybean field of the 3054s, and we went 50 bushels to the acre. The oats, when I swathed them, we were ahead of all of the thistles that tend to grow in the oat fields, and we were ahead of any of the other weeds, so we didn't have any really weeds that got away from us.